Getting my volume up and ready to go here. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Take a moment to get comfy where you're sitting and join us for another episode today. We are so glad that you are here because you could be anywhere in this world wide web, and we are so thankful that you've chosen to join us, whether you're on live or on the replay today. So we are excited that you're here, and we have an exciting episode today because this episode signifies 1 month of doing this show, The Breakthrough, and we are so thankful for all of you that have tuned in each and every week. And it's also our first episode today with a panelist, so get ready for that. It's sure to shake things up a little bit on each episode as we have different panelists, and I'm really excited about that energy. And so I want to invite you to take a minute. Click that love button, use the share button if you want to spread some light and positivity today so that more people can enjoy this show with us. My name is Jessica Dugas, and I am an intuitive mentor and energy healer.
And my name is Donna Brown, and I am a holistic wellness practitioner. And this is The Breakthrough. It's a spiritual view for your soul and mind where we dig deep in today's spiritual hot topics and inspire you with stories of those breakthrough moments that may change your life. Today, we would love for you to click on the video, to click on it now so we know you're here, and say hi. And throughout the show, you'll be hearing from both spiritual leaders, friends, and of course, we want to hear from you. So chime in, make comments, and ask questions.
Awesome. So I want to say hi to Jamad and everybody else who's joining us, watching right now. And our show today is called Suddenly Single. Our guest and future panelist of The Breakthrough, by the way, is the amazing relationship specialist and a friend of ours, Lori Ann Davis. And she's going to be sharing her story of breakthrough and triumph when her marriage of over 20 years ended and suddenly she was single. I know that I can relate to that story. I know that many of you can relate to that story, and you'll hear all about her story, what it was like for her, and of course the rainbow after her storm, which was finding love again. So we cannot wait to dive into this topic with Lori today, but first we are going to bring on our panelists to the show for hot topics. So let me get her up and rolling here today. There's Miss Heather. There she is. So, as I mentioned, you all got to know her on last week's episode of The Breakthrough. She's our declutter coach and consultant on the show, helping you to get rid of the clutter in your life so that you can make room for your breakthrough moments. The fabulous Heather Clark. So, without further ado, it's time for Hot Topics, Miss Donna.
And our hot topic today is a very timely hot topic, would you not say? So today we're going to talk about staying in our own wheelhouse and, of course, the really big event of the day, which is the total lunar eclipse. Check out our hot topic over here in the corner.
Somewhere. It's somewhere on the screen.
Somewhere over here.
I know, it's so crazy. We've had to change things around a little bit for our show today because, you know, typically we're used to not having so many people on the screen. And so this week and next week, it's going to be quite the fun thing to get all the tech right to make sure everybody's where they're supposed to be.
And thank God we have Jessica who can do that for us because Donna is not a techie. And Donna knows to stay out of that wheelhouse because that is not her forte.
That's exactly it. Staying out of the wheel. That's right.
So yeah, it's really, so let's talk about this lunar eclipse because we have had quite a lot going on. We had Mercury that went into retrograde yesterday. And then today, this afternoon at after 3 p.m. Central Time is when our peak of the full moon is going to be. And in addition to the full moon, it's a total lunar eclipse. And it has been the week of weeks for people that I know leading up to this energy. It has been a very trying week for me. What has it been like for you, Donna, dealing with the energy this week?
Well, it's been an interesting week for sure. My brother and his family are down visiting, and that's been really nice. I've really enjoyed having him here this week. But what I've noticed is, bless his heart, they've had some issues while they've been here, and his truck broke down, and so he's been like just urged. And so what I've noticed with me is the more energy that's been intense, the more calmer that I'm getting, which I'm finding really strange because that's not normally me typically. And so for me, I'm finding that I'm getting calm so that I can bring calmness around me. And so it was I kind of watching him kind of go into this, oh my God, why is this happening now? I'm on vacation. And then watching him kind of just bring himself back down was kind of neat. It was kind of neat, but it's been a crazy week, but it's been kind of fun in a weird way for me.
I get that totally. What's it been like for you, Heather, this week?
Well, actually, on the Monday and Tuesday, the kids and I worked last weekend just so that we can have our weekend on the Monday, Tuesday. And we actually ended up going with my best friend and her boys up to the beach and stuff. And it was fun just to get away because we hadn't seen each other for since the beginning of the year. And it was just one of those things where, the sand, the beach, the water, the whole thing. And then, of course, the kids were up, they were down, they were up, they were down with their energy. Of course, their parents were like, let's just breathe, let's just relax. And of course, even just today, before the show, even saying with my kids, I was like, okay, guys, I was like, I'm about to go on a live show. What does that mean? I'm like, it doesn't matter what it means to you. It means you guys need to get along.
I know it's been crazy this week, and I think we see it a lot already with the full moon energy each month. You hear stories all the time from people that are in that work in hospitals, that work in the police station, the fire departments, all of those public service arenas where they talk about people's energy completely shifting around the time of a full moon. And now we're adding the eclipse energy on top of it. And eclipses, for anybody that doesn't understand the significance of that, eclipses really signify change in our lives. It signifies the beginning and the end of something. So you have to look at in your life what's changing. See, my children are completely affected by this right now. You'll probably hear them fussing through the whole show, but it signifies this change in your life, and you have to look at the areas of your life that you want to shift and ask yourself, how fitting, do I need a breakthrough in my life to move on to this next phase of my life, no matter what area of your life you're talking about, whether it's your home or your work or anything like that. And then the next thing we want to talk about is going into our other topic today, because our original topic, we wanted to talk about staying in your own wheelhouse or staying in your own lane. And the reason that I originally wanted to talk about this was because we see a lot of times, I specifically work with people in my work who tend to be what I call very spiritually overwhelmed, where they come into this world of spirituality and they want to do all the things right now. And they want all the answers to their entire life. Yes, I'm talking about all of us. But they want to do all the things right now. They want to solve all their lives' problems. They want to know what path they're on. How can they get on it right now? And they start dabbing into everything. And the problem with that is it causes a lot of overwhelm and undue stress in our lives. And it also, when we talk about it in terms of business, it has us really in a place of scarcity. So if someone comes to me and says, Jessica, I need to declutter something and I don't know how to do it, I have a choice at that point, because I work with Heather on decluttering all the time. So I could come into it and I could say, oh, let me tell you everything I know about decluttering right now. Or I can go, you know what? I've been there too. And I really struggle with this too. And the person that you need to talk to is Heather, because Heather is the expert in decluttering. I don't have to know everything about everything. It does, me not chiming in on that doesn't discount my experience in any of that. How difficult is it for you guys to have that discipline to kind of stay in your own lane?
Go ahead, Heather.
Okay, I was I know for me, like I started off in organizing. So I started the business doing the organizing part, and I was like, it wasn't the organizing part that people were having issues with. It was the decluttering. So yeah, I can do the organizing, and yeah, I can give you tips for that. But my biggest thing for me is I want to help you declutter. I want to help you remove and clear out the stuff that is no longer serving you, that's no longer, part of where you want to go. But yeah, I can do the organizing part. But you know what? I go, if you want to organize, let's say if it's like your electronic files, whatever, I'm like, I'm not going to do that for you. And I'm not even going to try and teach you how to do that. I'm going to go more so, hey, I know somebody, and what do you want to do, whether it's Google Drive, whether it's Trello, whether it's whatever. I know people. And that's what I love about the fact of building relationships, is because of the fact I know these people that I can send other people to. And that's what I love about it. So I stick to the decluttering because, yeah, I may be able to organize, but I'm sticking to the decluttering because I love it. Let's just say that.
And that was a good point to make, because I know for me in the very beginning, when I first started out, like Jessica was saying, I wanted to learn it all. I felt like I needed to know the answers to everything. And if somebody asked me a question I didn't know the answer to, it spiraled me into like major depression of, oh my God, I don't know that. So what's wrong with me? That's where I originally went years ago. But now that I have this community of you guys, and I have an amazing community. So it helps, you're right, Heather, it helps you be able to say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, but I know somebody that does. And I can send them to a Lori or Jessica or Heather or a Kara, whoever, just depending on what they're looking for. Because my whole wheelhouse is all around energy and bioenergetic scanning, and I can talk that for days. Jessica has to tell me to be quiet sometimes. I can talk about it all day long. I love energy work. So, but if you come at me with astrology, I'm probably going to send you to Jessica, or the moon. I'm going to send you to Jessica because I know enough to be dangerous. I know enough to make you go, what?
It's so true. I think, and we were talking a little bit about this in our chatter before the show too. For those of us that are fixers and we feel like we want to solve the world problems, which is why it's important that we talk about this today, because this lunar eclipse, this full moon, is happening in the sign of Aquarius, which is all about, the humanitarian work that we do in service to other people. And, so it's really important that we talk about this right now, because if we're spread out all over the place and we're not sort of leaning in on the things that we're good at, we have less effect on, we can learn so much more if we can focus our energy, if we can focus our work and our intentions so that we can serve other people in a bigger way. And we don't have to know all the things. Even for those of you who are Aquarius right now, I know you are feeling it, people. I know you are feeling it just like me. You are overthinking everything on a daily basis, and today it's multiplied by 1,000,000. So I get it. But it's important that we lean in on what we're good at, and then share the love. Stay out of that scarcity mindset that you have to overthink and know everything, and that there's only enough room for so many people. Share the love. Share what your friends are doing. Share what your colleagues are doing. There's more than enough room for everybody on this planet. So
there's infinite possibilities for everybody. There's an infinite barrel. Yeah.
I love that. So everybody say that below. There's infinite possibilities for everybody. Say that in the comments below. And we are going to finish up with our hot topics here today. So let's move into welcoming our fabulous guest today. So, as I mentioned, we have our amazing friend and relationship specialist and future panelist of the Breakthrough, Miss Lori Ann Davis, here with us today. So, as I bring her on the screen, everybody give Miss Lori a big welcome. We are so glad to have you today, Lori.
Hey, Lori.
Thank you so much for being here. I would love for you to chime in. How has this week treated you? How's the energy been treating you? And then how is it for you to be able to stay tuned in to your purpose and your own journey?
The energy actually for me personally has been pretty good. I've been able to kind of use all my tools to stay focused. I've noticed that it's wearing me out though. I'm tired, like I'm wanting to sleep more. But lots of calls and lots of emails from clients. So I'm noticing it, like I'm in that field working with people that are dealing in relationships. So lots of crisis and lots of upheaval from the people that I'm dealing with. So it's really important for me to make sure that I keep myself grounded and stable when I know that these things are coming up. And so my moon is in Aquarius. So it's that making sure that I'm scheduling in time for myself, because I would be the one that would just give to everybody. And I am working all weekend, but not all day, every day, all week, like I'm taking that time for me so that I can stay grounded and take care of my family as well, because they deserve my time and attention, not just my clients.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so important, I think, is to remember during these times to take time for yourself, to take that self-care time. Even if you are experiencing the energy in a positive way, it still can be very draining. And you and I have talked about that quite a bit, Lori, when you go, and you're all excited, and then it's like, oh, burnout, done.
Which is yes, thanks to you, I'm getting better about that. But that fire energy comes along for me, and then I just want to take over the world, and I love it. It feels great. I love that energy. But then I'm like exhausted for a week. And so since becoming a part of your community and really learning to work with the cycles, I have gotten much better about that. And that doesn't happen so much anymore. And when it does, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what this is about. And so now what do I have to do? Like I prioritize, like I do the things that I have to do. If I have deadlines and, book chapters due, I'm going to finish that. But then I'm not going to do the stuff I don't have to.
Yeah.
I've gotten better at that. Thank you, Jessica.
Awesome. Good. So we wanted to have you on today. I'm so excited to dive in a little bit to your story. So you're a relationship specialist in your work, and it's so synchronistic that this has been the area of breakthrough in your life. I think it's really cool that a lot of us end up serving humanity, serving our clients in the way that we've experienced our breakthrough. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about what your life was like before the breakthrough?
So my background is I have a master's in clinical psychology and was a licensed mental health counselor in Florida for 20 plus years. So my background has been doing, family therapy and marriage therapy. I was a clinical supervisor for a big outpatient office. I had like 9 counselors in my office. So doing that kind of work is something I have always done. I've always been passionate about working with people and loving that. But my husband and I were together 10 years before we had children. I worked my way up the career ladder and then got to a point where I was in my early 30s, was ready to start having children. And so I kept a small private practice on the side and did lots of volunteer work, but I shut down, the big paycheck, right? Although if you work in that field, paychecks aren't huge. But I was blessed that I was able to do that. So I did lots of volunteer work, but I did it around raising my oldest daughter. And I just had this fabulous, wonderful, idyllic life. I wanted more children, and it did take me 10 years and some struggles to get my 2 younger girls. I was in my mid-40s before I had them. But I had, as far as I was concerned, I had the absolute perfect life for a really long time. There was nothing missing. There was nothing I was lacking for. I had a fabulous, for 25 years, my marriage was, I wrote a book on how to have one that happy. It was just, we had ups and downs like everybody else, but but I had what I considered the perfect life for over 25 years.
Yeah. And I think, do you ever feel like, looking back, that that there was something maybe that you didn't pick on? Do you ever, or pick up on? Do you ever feel like there was something maybe that you missed?
I don't think there was something I missed. I always knew. I mean, through that, I had gone through lots of spiritual growth. And I mean, the things I did, the list was like really long. You know, I mean, I never was stable or solid, not taking on some new challenge for very long. But I always saw myself, could always have this vision of myself doing more and influencing more people. And it was actually my husband who used to tell me that I needed to write a book. And I used to look at him and say, "You're crazy. What am I going to write a book about?" But I would also see myself like up on a stage speaking to lots of people. And it wasn't that I had a desire so much to do that, is I just felt a calling to do that. And he used to say, you know, you need to run your own business. And I'm like, but I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I'm raising these kids and I homeschooled and I was into all this natural stuff. And I thought, well, maybe that's going to be it. But I was always doing some sort of volunteer work in some sort of different way. So I knew there was more that I needed to do, but I was busy. I was busy raising my daughter and homeschooling her and not keeping children, not keeping babies. And then when I had my two, I thought, okay, this is it. Like, I've reached it. I'm at this pinnacle. I finally had these other children that I want. Now I'm just going to love them and I'm going to enjoy this life. And I'm just going to focus on them. Yeah.
And then what happened when that?
Then the universe had a whole different idea for me. You know, interestingly enough, so this is something I don't know that I've ever really shared with anybody else, but it feels appropriate. I remember it started with me having these ideas that something was wrong with my husband, and I thought that he was ill and was going to die. And I couldn't shake that feeling, like, oh my God, he's going to die. Something's going to happen, right? Well, what I didn't realize is what I was picking up on was the death of my relationship, not a physical death. And so I don't ever say much about how that happened, because that's a personal story that's not just mine. But I will say that some things changed. And after 28 years, we went our separate ways. I never thought I would be divorced. Never, ever. After 25 amazing years, you know, making that decision was the hardest decision I've ever had to make. It took years of crying, years of panicking, years of, you know, so all of a sudden, this idyllic life that I had, and I was going to raise these kids, all of a sudden, I was alone with them. Let's see, a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 17-year-old. And I hadn't been the breadwinner. We had moved to a different state. My license didn't transfer. I wasn't, you know, connected with anybody in North Carolina. And all of a sudden, I have no way to support them. I mean, you know, no job. I was committed to continuing to homeschool them. And no support system really here. I had some friends, but I'd only been here, you know, like 3.5 years or something. So, and I was going through all that, you know, shortly after moving here. So, yeah, it was a huge change, and I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do. Looking back at it now, I can say that, and we actually, by the way, are really good friends now. So we worked through all this. We're best friends again. We co-parent the children together. We have a wonderful relationship. We were talking the other day about that neither one of us would be where we are. I wouldn't have the career that I have right now if it hadn't been for that experience. I would have been playing it safe. I would have been staying home, homeschooling my children, being a good wife, being a good mom, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I know that I was just destined to do more, and I was designed to do more. I've written that book. I'm up on stages now talking to people. And I'm about, I think, to take a next huge leap, which I can't talk about details yet, but to do that in even a bigger way. I've done a TV documentary series. I was one of the 5 coaches in Radical Dating. So I've done all of these things, created this career because of being forced into, you know, my whole world being turned upside down. Wasn't a pleasant experience to go through by any means. And because of the background I had and the friends that I had that were also therapists, I had that support. So I knew the tools to get past it. But I still had to do the work, folks. Like, it didn't just happen. Like, I had to do it. I had to figure out how to still stay home with the kids and homeschool them, start this career, learn how to date. I hadn't been on a first date since I was 22 years 23 years old. It's 28 years, right? You know, I'm older, had 3 kids, so I had to figure out how to date, found love again. I'm remarried. I'm happily remarried again to a wonderful man. And through that whole process now, you know, I still do work with some couples, although I'm very picky about the couples I take. 75% of my clients now are singles who are either trying to get over a relationship and start over again, just like I did, or they've been single their whole lives and like, how the heck do I find somebody, right? So that's who I work with now, and that's who I get to help. And can I tell you how passionate I am about that, and how much I love that I get to do that? Because I get to say to them, when I stand up in front of groups of people, like, I get to say, I've been there, like, I've done that, and I'm teaching you the same things that I've done and I learned along the way. I didn't set out saying I was going to work with singles. Singles found me, and they came to me, and that's how I was just going to be a life coach.
Yeah, that, I mean, what an amazing ride. I'm sure you feel like it has been. I do want to take a quick minute and say hello to everybody that is joining us that I haven't gotten a chance to say hello to yet. There are many of you watching right now. I know Anjanette, Siri, Emily. I already said hi to Jamad, but it's worth a second time because hello. And I know I just am so appreciative of you all being here today. And then I know also we have a new viewer with us today, Tanya. So welcome, Tanya, as well. But what are some of the things that you would want to, what were some of the things you worried about during your breakthrough moment that maybe you could tell, that you look back now and go, I probably shouldn't have worried about that? Like, you know, because we all like to, some of us like to over analyze and exaggerate everything.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think the worry for me was 2-part. One was, how was I going to support them? Where was the money going to come in? And, you know, if I'd had to put them both in daycare and take a regular job, like, there wouldn't have been anything left. And I was determined that I was going to be the stay-at-home mom. You have to realize it took me 10 years of a lot of effort and a lot of loss to get those 2 more children. And I felt like I finally had those 2 children. I wasn't going to go dump them in daycare. So it was, how was I financially going to support them and provide the life that I wanted? And also, I think when you've been happily married for 25 years, the idea, I mean, I was in my late 40s, so I consider that, my grandparents raised me, I consider that still really young. And I thought, I didn't want to raise them alone. Not that I think there's anything wrong with being a single mom, but that wasn't my vision of my life. And I didn't want to be alone, right? So it was like, I wanted another relationship. And I thought, is somebody going to come along and want somebody in their late 40s with 3 children? 2 of them are young. So it was a combination of like worrying about supporting them financially, but also, how was I going to find love again? I didn't know how to date. I didn't know, and I'd had a wonderful relationship. And so could I have another relationship? I didn't expect it to be the same, but could I have another great relationship? Like, was there only one? Like, do you only get one? You know, which I know is silly, but that crossed my mind. Like, if you married your soulmate in the beginning, now what?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So did you find yourself like kind of like creating what you wanted the next guy to look like in your life, or the next love interest to look like in your life, or did you just kind of stay with what you knew was working? Does that make sense?
So that's a great question, actually. So one of the things I do with my clients is I help them, and I learned this on my own. And then when I joined the Relationship Coaching Institute, they had it all packaged very nicely for me. But, you know, I sat down and I realized what were the essential components to my marriage that made it work. So what were those, I call them now relationship requirements. What were those core values? What were the things that were important? And I knew I wanted and I needed those again. But I think one of the secrets to finding love again for me is I was open to what that looked like. So I knew that I could fall down this rabbit hole of trying to recreate, and then that wouldn't have been good, like, because then I'm going to compare. And so I was very cautious. Like, the counselor in me knew that was a wrong road to go down. And so I was like, you know, I remember saying to the universe, send me somebody that's going to be a joy to our life, but also send me somebody that can make their life wonderful, because that's important to me. And I was open to how that looked. And let me tell you, the universe sent me somebody that is so different from me in so many ways that I probably, if I had not been open, would have never given him a chance. But we match in those core values. And no, he's the exact opposite if you look at it on the outside of who I was married to before. But underneath, like 6.5 years later, I'm still discovering ways that they're alike. Some great and some not so great. Really? Yeah. But so that's a great question. So it was both, you know. It was both.
Now I have a question. When you started clearing, okay, so this happened. You guys separated and stuff. Did you find you were clearing out other stuff in your life as well because of this reason, because of this separation, because of this divorce and stuff like that?
Yes. And so Jessica and Donna know all about this because we get on book club and stuff, and they've heard all of this. And so I'm like this really strong person, and I was, in some ways, because I was stayed home most of the time, I kind of led a lot of our family activities and stuff. But yet I remember thinking that I was okay because of my husband. I was okay because of our relationship, and I really didn't have a sense that I would be okay without him. So when he was leaving, my panic was, oh my gosh, like, I'm not going to be okay. How do I live my life? How are things going to be okay? I can't do this by myself, right? And what I discovered, and so I had to clear that. And I think that was an important lesson for me to learn in life. And and even though I'm not alone, I'm married again, but I have created this business. And it is done in not a long time. If I look at what I've accomplished, it's like, holy crap, that's a lot. While I've been raising my kids and while I'm homeschooling them still. And if I look at what I've accomplished and the sense of security that I continue to build on that sense of security and then I recently just bought a house, and I was like, well, I got myself from a single mom who didn't have any income to buying a house. Like, really? Like, how did I do that? I watched other people do it. So I now have this sense of security and this sense of I'm okay no matter what. No matter what happens, I'm golden, and I'm going to be good, and I'm going to be okay. And with that comes a huge freedom. And I think I look at how it affects my relationship with my husband, and there's an added layer to that that's really cool too, that maybe wasn't there the first time around. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So there's so many blessings have come out of something that if you would ask me if I would have chosen it, no, definitely not. But the blessings that have come out of it, it's kind of hard to ignore. Not that I'd want to, but they're many. They're numerous. They really are. And they continue. Like, as I grow and as I go through this journey, I think I just keep shedding more and more things, and I keep discovering more things about myself. And it feels really good. Like, it really does.
Was there a piece of advice that someone may have given you, or maybe they didn't give you, that you wish you would have received now? Is there a piece of advice that kept you going, or not even just advice, but a saying, a piece of wisdom that anybody would have given you? Or maybe if you didn't get the wisdom you were looking for at the time when your marriage ended, what do you wish you would have heard?
Good question. Sorry, something popped up on my computer and I couldn't see y'all anymore. I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of it really quick. So just really, really briefly, my father has been he's no longer with us, and he was gone before my last daughter was born. But he was an inspiration to so many people. When I was a baby, he was in an accident that he wasn't supposed to live through. He became a paraplegic, went on to become a custom home builder, and just inspired so many people with the person that he was. And I remember that when I went through this, I was talking to my stepmom, and she said, I'm not worried about you. And I remember thinking, you're not? Well, I am. And I said that. And I said, why are you not worried about me? And she said, because you're your daddy's daughter. And in so many ways, oh my gosh, like, I look like my dad. I've got his personality. We are alike in so many ways. And I remember thinking about that a million times and thinking, I am my daddy's daughter. And my dad just never let anything get the best of him. He overcame everything. And I was like, what would he say if he was here? And I was like, I can do this. He did it. I can do it. So it was my stepmom, I think, reminding me that I had this strength in me that at the time I had forgotten. And I would go back to that, sometimes, I don't know, 20 times a day, some days, and go, you're Richard Preston Beck's daughter. And you can do anything. You're strong. You're capable. And so I just would remind myself of that. And then reach out and get that support. Like when you need to hear it, like don't ever do anything alone. Find those people that will give you the support you need. Because not everybody gives you the right support, right? But I was lucky. I had people that would give me the support that would be beneficial to me.
Wow, that's that makes me want to cry.
No, because then I will.
In a good way, because you all know me well enough to know that I try to. It doesn't take much. No, but I think that's neat, and I do think that we tend to have to remind ourselves, and we have to have that saying. The minute you said that about your dad, my first thought was, I could see her going around going, "What would Dad do right now? What would Dad say? What would Dad do about this?" Which was kind of funny that I had that thought. So you created this life that you have now with your two daughters at home and your new husband, and then you've just bought a house, right? Recently, can I say that?
Yeah, you can.
All by yourself, which I think is amazing. I think that's cool. You've had so many amazing things happen. So where do you go from here? Like, what happens now?
And I wish we were like a little further down the road on this project that I have going so that I could announce it.
But before that,
it's creating, it's just trying to figure out, I think, with my career, like, where do I go from here? I want to influence more people. I want to be able to, I have my local singles group that I run, and we get a great turnout, and I get to stand up once a month and, talk to enough people. Radical Dating, by the way, is going to, I think we can say this, is going to Amazon this fall, and there's a book that's coming out along with that. And so there's like these great things, but I still feel like I haven't done enough. And I still see myself on a bigger stage, influencing more people and being an inspiration to more people. We all deserve love in our life, and people are so lost a lot of times in trying to find that. They don't, and they get it, they're their own worst enemies, and they get in their own way. And I just feel this huge calling and this huge passion to help as many people as I can. So I am actually starting a new business with a business partner where we have some great ideas about how to influence people in some really incredible ways. I've got some negotiations for another project. So I think for me, it's just continuing to figure out, how do I broaden my business in a way that I'm not just seeing a few clients individually with the time I have, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to be able to influence more people and get out there more, and continue to homeschool my children. I mean, they're getting older. They're almost 11 and 13 and a half now, and my one daughter's moved out. But continuing to be there for them, and continuing to, it's a balance. So Jessica knows I'm always talking about balance. How do I balance my career, balance my children? I work at a nonprofit, actually, even like 12 hours a week, running a single parent program there that I'm passionate about. I love that. And keeping my relationship with my husband, because we do have to put in time and effort into that. So I'm just always looking at, I'm somebody that I think I have a little bit of ADD. And so I can't just keep doing the same things over. Like, I've done a relationship couples retreat, and, I want to do another one of those in the future. So it's always going to be something new, because I like the new and the excitement and that newness. It feeds my spirit, I think. And so who knows what's coming, but it'll be lots of new stuff, all designed around you've got to walk your talk. So I can't get out there and tell people how to have good relationships if I'm not really working on mine, and I'm not always trying to learn and grow, right? For me, for my children, for my relationship. So it's going to be about always learning new things for myself. And how do I share that with other people? And how do I balance all of that in my life? I think those are my focuses always.
So if you had one piece of advice that you could give somebody on the show today that may be going through a breakup, what would you say to them? Just a quick little, just kind of pick me up kind of thing.
Is that you do get over it. And one of the things that was the most helpful for me is every night before I would go to bed, I would imagine what it would be like when all of it was over and my life was like where I wanted it to be again. And I would tap into that feeling, and I would go to sleep every night feeling it because it already existed. And I really do believe that I get my clients to do that. I really believe that helped me go from where I was to where I wanted to be in a much shorter period of time than most people do. You know, I did all this turnaround pretty darn quick. And I think that was one of the keys to doing it, is that I wasn't going to stay stuck in the story of what was. I was going to spend as much time as I could focused on the story of where I wanted to be. And that's where I was going to live at least part of my day as much as I could. And I think that if you can do that, you do get past it quicker. Get out of the mode of who's right, who's wrong, you know, the victim mentality. That not to say that you're not justified, but whether you're justified or not, staying stuck there is going to make you unhappy. And the sooner you can, at your own rate, get beyond that and envision and feel that life that's yet to come, the happier you're going to be quicker.
I love that.
I have a question. Do you think that because of this, your relationship with your children has changed in a better way, like than it would have had you in your... Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a hard one. You know, the little girls were young and they've sort of accepted everything, although I think if you asked them, they would still tell you, even though they were young, that they're sad, that their mom and dad aren't together.
Okay.
And then my older one, when, you know, 16, 17-year-olds don't deal with all of this well. So, no, actually, I think it's made my relationship with her, I've had to work a lot harder. It's been, so, no, honestly, I mean, we're doing the best we can, but I don't think that it made my relationship better. I think the relationship with my little girls is great, in spite of, right, that change. With my older daughter, anybody that's got children that age that goes through this, I think almost would tell you it's tough on them and they don't handle it very well. So that's been the part that probably has been, for me, the hardest is trying to keep everything okay for the kids.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I know as like someone who also I'm in a divorce as well, and it's just they were younger as well. So I was just wondering like how the age gap between the kids, how was the difference between like, you know, somebody who understood and maybe the younger ones who...
Yeah, so I used to do family therapy, right? So this is right up my alley. And the book that I'm contributing to, I wrote the chapter about being a single parent and dating. And so when they're older like that, it is always more of a challenge. Now, if they're already grown, a lot of times it can be easier, but when they're still in that teenage stage, it's not an easy thing. Like you said, yours are younger, mine were younger, so they sort of have adapted to their life. But I was actually surprised, even though how happy they are, to hear them still voice that there's still a part of them that thinks about it and that wishes. We were going on vacation, for instance, and it was like, well, can Daddy come to Disney with us? No, we wish Daddy could come to Disney with us. Why can't, and so they understood why. They're old enough to understand why. But there was still, I was surprised because it's been like my youngest one probably never even remembers us really being together. And then unfortunately, if they do remember, usually at the end isn't real pretty. And so they're at least picking up on the energy about that. And so for kids, they can be okay in the end, but there's always, I think, going to be something there. I don't know that they come out of that. Now, not to say that you should stay in an unhappy marriage, because that's not good for them either, right? But there's always that little part, and that's sad, I think, for me, And I think every parent that's gone through that, there's that sadness that,
But now that you're in this new relationship, is it better for them seeing how happy you are?
Oh, definitely. It would not have been. That was, for me, that was what caused me to actually go file for divorce, no matter how scared I was. And I wished in some ways I had done it sooner. But I became somebody I didn't recognize and I didn't like, because I was trying to make it. I was trying to force it to work because I couldn't, I was so scared. And in that trying to force it to work, I'll admit I was not showing up as my best person. I'm not proud of sometimes there. And that was when I looked in the mirror and went, I don't like this. This isn't me. I can't keep doing this. And you know what? As scared as I am, I would rather move on and be who I am than stay here and acting the way I'm acting. Mm-hmm. Divorce and marriages and endings and all of that does not bring out the best in any of us. Yeah. It really doesn't. And so, that was it for me. I can't keep showing up like this for my kids, and for me, and for him either. It wasn't good for any of us. So that was when I made the decision to go, okay, somehow I'm figuring this out. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I did, it started to get better, and then in time. So they've got all these years now of seeing, I'm definitely a better parent now than I am when I was going through all of that, for sure. Right?
And we certainly love everything that you have, you having experienced your breakthrough and all of the things that you have come to share with other people, and the light that you've been in my life, and I know Donna and Heather as well, just in holding the space for having been through that whole ordeal and coming out the other side and things continuing to grow and get better. We are certainly, as hard as it is to say sometimes, I am certainly grateful for everyone's breakthrough moments that we've had, because it's brought us together today, and it's made us who we are today, and you have to be grateful for that. And so thank you so much, Lori, for being on with us today. And all of Lori's links, you guys, are in the description of the video, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube or wherever you have found us today. All of Lori's links are there, and I hope that you'll take the opportunity to connect with her. And thank you again, Lori, so much for being on with us today.
I love y'all.
Bye.
Love you.
All right, guys. So awesome.
Wow.
Awesome story.
Wow.
Yeah, that was good.
I have to tell you, it's so funny, because when I asked her about the if someone had given her a piece of advice or a wise quote, this pop-up came on my computer that says 11 wise quotes to change your mind forever.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's a little weird.
You're okay, thanks for that. Letting us know that we aren't alone, that's for sure.
That's right,
for sure.
Exactly.
What'd you guys think? What's some of your thoughts while Lori was on today?
Just the fact of how she wouldn't be where she is today. As much as that sucked, and I know I personally, on a personal level, and Jess, as well, this separation, we know that it sucks in the time and we don't see it. Mm-hmm. But when we're on the outside of it and we look back, we're like, you know what? I'm who I am today because of that incident, because of what happened. I'm a better, like she said, parent. I'm a better business person. I'm a better, new wife to, her husband and stuff like that, because of the fact of she learned more about herself during this situation and knowing what she didn't like and what she did like. And I've been through that as well.
Yeah. What about you, Donna?
Yeah, I'm with Heather. I think for me was, and unfortunately, not unfortunately, that's not the right word I want to use. I haven't been through a divorce, so I've been married for 32 years to my husband and still going strong, I think. We're saying that, Lord, no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. So, but what I did, what my takeaway from her mainly was that you have to be happy, and you have to, you yourself have to be happy first, and then, and then just step into it, and just doesn't matter how scared you are, how much anxiety's coming up, how am I going to survive this? I mean, you have two small children, I know that had to have been huge. I can't imagine having two small children and know that you've got to go out on your own and provide for not just you, but provide for your two children as well. And I mean, it's tough enough when it's just providing for you. So for me, it's just the fact that it also goes back to self-love. You've got to love yourself first, and you've got to take yourself first and realize that this is what I have to do. Yes, it's been a great marriage, and yes, things were going along great, but now things aren't, and I need to do what's good for me. And on top of that, it opened up so many doors for her that may not have opened up had she stayed where she was. Mm-hmm. So I think that's another big aha moment for me, was just once you step into that self-love, whether it's going through a breakup or just in general, mm-hmm. once you step into that self-love of yourself, all these doors just start opening, and you're just going to the wheelhouse thing. So then you're trying to figure out, which door do I pick to go through?
Yeah.
And then kind of move from there. What did you take from it, Jessica? What was your aha moment?
Well, it's interesting because Siri had asked a really good question while we were all chatting, and we didn't get a chance to say the question, but Lori actually answered it at the end. So I just love how that worked out.
I know.
But Siri had said, did you feel like maybe you lost yourself during the first marriage because you felt that false sense of security, when Lori was talking about how sort of dependent she felt on the relationship being her happiness and her security. And mm-hmm. I went through a very similar thing when my first marriage ended as well, to where I sort of realized that I wasn't in this marriage, I wasn't showing up for myself, I wasn't being my best self, I wasn't taking that self-care time, and so I really look at it now in my marriage now as I feel like my marriage is better because of that love for myself, because mm-hmm. I put myself first. And it's funny because that's not what mainstream teaches. Mainstream is very like when you get into a marriage, you just give all yourself. You just mm-hmm. give all yourself, and you and you as a solo individual ends. And mm-hmm. I think that is the most dangerous mindset that we could get into in a marriage, because when we lose ourselves, and as being a parent too, when we lose ourselves, we can't possibly be a good partner and be a good mom and do have the kind of relationships that we want if we can't be ourselves, if we don't love ourselves, And so I really related to Siri's question, as well as how Lori talked about it, of having that, kind of putting all her eggs in the marriage basket and mm-hmm. losing that sense of self a little bit. Mm-hmm. So that's how.
And it's funny because that's one thing. When people ask me how I've stayed married so long, or how what has worked in our marriage, I guess. Rephrase that. And that is the one thing that Jay, my husband, has been very adamant about, is our times and doing what makes me happy, what makes him happy. It's not what can we do don't get me wrong, we have our together time, I don't mean that, but he and I both also realize how important it is to maintain your individuality, because if you don't maintain your individuality, then you do get lost, and then you do just kind of have this, you're going down this false sense of security, so to speak. And so I do think that that's very important in a marriage, or in any kind of relationship. It doesn't even have to be a marriage relationship, any kind of relationship. I think you still need your individuality. You didn't come here to be something else and be for everybody else, even though those of us that are fixers in this group tend to think we need to be all things to all people. But, we do have to have that alone time. We do have to have that go internal, look at yourself time. We do have to have that, what do I want to do with my life and where do I see it going? And then to have that support system like Lori mentioned earlier, that support system is so huge. If you don't have that support system, that also kind of can pull you back a little bit too. Mm-hmm. So I do think that support, self-love, I think all of that and maintaining your own individuality are huge in maintaining who you are as a person.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I think there's another really important thing to point out here today for everybody in going forward with this show. So all of us on this show today are in very different points in our lives. We've got Donna, who's never been divorced and married forever. We have Lori, who shared a bit about her story. You guys heard that today. I have been divorced and now remarried, and Heather's on that next part of her journey, you know? And so, but we've all been able to take something from this. And this is why it's important for you to tune in each and every week to these shows, because there is something, if you open yourself up and allow the learning to happen, there's something that can be taken as a lesson, as an important message in every single one of these stories that we are sharing on this show. No matter where you're at in your life, whether you, because as we realized a couple weeks ago with Lucinda, these breakthroughs can keep happening. You know, they can keep happening if you open yourself up and allow when life gives you these choices and these opportunities to grow, that you can take that opportunity. You can make those choices to change your life. And so I just wanted to sort of hammer that home, that even if you feel like a topic, like I couldn't possibly relate to being single, or I can't relate to being fired, or I don't even know what the heck law of attraction is, still tune into the show, because there's gonna be something here for you in the message, whether it's a single word, a line that's gonna help lift you up when you have your breakthrough moment. Because if you haven't, it's going to come. It's going to come eventually, and we're here to hold that space for you. So I want to give a special thank you so much to Lori for being our fabulous guest on today's show, to Heather, who was like the amazing did an amazing job at being our first official panelist today. She's our declutter coach and consultant. And I want to thank, of course, all of you guys for being here with us, whether you've been live with us on the show or on the replay. We ask you to do us a favor today. Continue to share this show out. Share this show out to your family, to your friends, to your clients, to your colleagues, and get these messages of positivity out, because when we've been experiencing all of these energetic shifts lately, it's important to have positivity out there. It's important to share these messages of breakthrough and triumph and success and positivity, so that we can all stay high vibe as time goes on. So thank you guys so much for being here and for sharing out this episode and all the other ones. My name is Jessica Dugas, intuitive mentor and energy healer.
And I'm Donna Brown, holistic wellness practitioner, and this has been The Breakthrough. And Jessica, you're going to have to say her name.
So next week on the show, we have Miha Matlievsky, and he is a self-proclaimed fail coach, and is going to be sharing about his breakthrough with, you guessed it, failure.
Oh, wait, I got stumbled there because I couldn't pronounce the name. Sorry about that. Okay, we look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same place, 12 p.m. Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you next time. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.